Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Yacht Transition Hub. I just want to really congratulate you first and foremost for showing interest in this call today, and also for all of you that are showing up live, all of you that couldn't be on live and catching the replay. I really just want to honor you where you're at because I know that this transition for myself and I know who I'm about to bring out, Karine, have been through this transition ourselves. So we really understand what comes along, not only the emotions that can come up, the mental game that can come up around this transition, and also the planning that comes into it as well. There's many practical sides of things that come into this, like finances, and really just adjusting to that transition once we do come back on land. So, anyone that's on the call today, please just share where you're tuning in from so that we can see that pop up in the chat. And also, if you're currently looking at transitioning, whether you've already transitioned or whether it's just simply a thought for yourself, if you can pop that in the chat. I know we've got, okay. And what I want to do is just share a brief introduction for myself. My name's Ebony Hanson, and the reason that I've created the Yacht Transition Hub here is because 6 years ago I went through the transition myself. And what I found was I was very prepared in the way of I had savings, I had an exit strategy. I was a yoga teacher at the time and a spa therapist, and I was coming back to start my own business. So even though I had all of these check boxes, when I actually came back, the transition was so much harder than what I felt it was going to be. I had all of those natural pulls that we often get towards the end of our career, like missing out on family events, really wanting to be closer to my family. And so, this is why I'm really so passionate about sharing the Yacht Transition Hub and starting this up because when I left the industry, I really felt alone. I didn't feel like I had support around me. And so, my intention behind this hub is really to create an open space where we can gather professionals that have been through this transition or have that experience with actually supporting crew on this journey and just create a hub for all of us to connect and have those open and honest conversations. And what I'm really excited to share today is the crew coach, Karine Rayson, is on with us today. And what she's going to do is she's really going to talk into the mental, emotional sides that come up with your identity beyond the yachts. Karine is actually a qualified counsellor. She's studied in organisational psychology before. And this is really just a relaxed conversation. It's an interactive conversation. If you have, we'll actually set up the call that Karine will be doing some exercises with you. She'll open up for some Q&A. And I know a lot of you that couldn't be on call today have sent through your questions to me. If we don't get those through today, we will endeavour to, but if we don't, I'll make sure that we have those answered after the call. So please settle in if you're watching the replay or if you're on here live, grab a pen and paper, and I'm going to hand over to Karine in just a moment. At the end of the call, I'll share how you can actually gain more support of Karine and how you can also enter the Yacht Transition Hub and gain more conversations and clarity around that transition. So thank you so, so much, Karine, for your time. I've absolutely loved connecting with you, and I'm really excited with what you have to share today.
Thank you so much, Ebony, for having me. And welcome to Melissa and those of you who are watching the replay. So, a little bit about me. I worked in the industry over 15 years ago now. And when I was working on board, I was often thinking about my transition. I had already studied psychology and knew that I'm laughing because when I was working on board, I just, after working with the ultra high net worth individuals, and Melissa, I lived in Sydney for, I think, 12 years. I decided, no, I definitely don't want to work within that niche. I want to help children. So left yachting and studied further in counseling and in business. And that transition was somewhat difficult in that I was drawing comparisons of where my peer group were at the age of 29, climbing the corporate ladder in finance. And I was freelancing in Sydney on yachts, and I was essentially a babysitter. So that was a hard pill to swallow. But in terms of reframing that, I knew Financially, it made sense, and it was the stepping stones to where I needed to be. While studying my degree, I was offered a placement in maximum security prisons working for the Department of Justice. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is probably the least, what's the word? It wasn't on my agenda, essentially. But anyway, I thought, well, if I want to become the best at what I do, I just as well do the hardest job. I loved it, absolutely loved it. And it validated for me that we need to lean into our intuition. So, yes, some things may feel a little bit scary, and I'll go into experimenting later, but important to experiment and not close possible opportunities or ideas that are presented to you. So that experimenting stage, whether you're on rotation or if you're still working on board full time or you're making that transition, just try different things. Right. I will get started with our presentation today. I don't want it to be a lecture. I do want it to be a conversation because that's where you will gain the most value. Right, before I start the next slide, Melissa, if you're able to, and those listening, on your piece of paper, I want you to write I am and write down the first five things that come to mind for you. Ebony, you can even do it if you wanted to. I am, and what are the first five things that come to mind? And once you're done, unmute yourself. And if you don't mind sharing, that would be incredible. Let me know when you're ready. How are you going, Melissa? Do you feel comfortable in sharing? If you don't mind letting me know, otherwise I won't ask you. I'll just ask
No,
Tiffany.
I'm just struggling thinking of five things, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Do you have three?
I have two:
Okay, that's a start. What are they?
impatient and outgoing.
What was the first one?
Impatient.
Oh,
Yeah,
impatient
I love that.
and outgoing. Okay, really interesting. And that is a very good thing that you've identified there. I'm going to move on to Ebony because curious to see what she came up with. Ebony?
Sure. Yeah, the first three streamed through really easily, and then the second two, I just needed to close my eyes. I had love, caring, fun, adventure, free.
Okay, well, you guys are already nailing this exercise. Most people would think about their job titles and who they are rather
Mm.
than what they are. So they might say, I'm a head of department, I am a chief stew, I am a mum, rather than thinking about the values,
Mm-hmm.
strengths, and traits that they hold.
Mhm.
Because when you end a job, those responsibilities and title may leave you, but those qualities don't.
Mhm.
And those qualities forge your identity. Okay. So, as I've just touched on, what you are, these are your job titles, who you are, your values, how you treat people, how you perceive yourself. Great exercise to do if you get stuck on writing about what you are. This sounds very morbid, but write your own obituary. So, like at the funeral, when they say a speech about you, if you can write out that speech and what you think people would say about you.
That's a really interesting one. I like that. It definitely takes you into a different perspective, doesn't it?
Mm.
Mhm.
I think the first thing my family or partner would say would be workaholic. obsessed, too obsessed with what she does.
That's a good thing.
Well, at least it is my passion and it's my purpose. And I think this is what a lot of us struggle with is we want a meaningful career.
Hmm.
And on Friday, I was sitting next to a mum whose daughter was doing swimming lessons with my son. And I was saying how I live on a farm, Melissa, and
Hmm.
starting your own business takes a huge sacrifice of your time. And I've got three young kids, so I don't have the time, and it sounds terrible, but to dedicate it to forging relationships. I've got a couple of friends that I may see every few months, but that's about it. And when I do share my time, I want the conversations to be inspiring. And I want to feel that sense of belonging. And I feel that sense of belonging around female entrepreneurs
Mm.
because we share so many different things in common, especially in our niche, transitioning out of the industry. Yachting, the elements that I have carried through yachting, I believe has made me a successful business owner today. It built resilience, and
Hmm.
I'm not afraid of hard work. Um, okay, so the concept of identity foreclosure, there are parallels between elite sportsmen and yachties, in that a lot of our identity is enmeshed into our roles. So there has been, over the decades, a lot of research done on elite sportsmen because there are a lot of mental health issues. They don't know who they are when their career ends. So, what we want to look at today is giving you that clarity of what's important to you and what the next steps are, but also where are you along this journey in this process. So, Eric Erickson is a psychologist, was a psychologist, and he studied different psychosocial stages that we go through. In adolescence, we go through an identity and role confusion stage, but that can happen anywhere along our lifespan continuum. So at the swimming lessons the other day, the woman was saying to me, yeah, I feel like a lot of mums here who have had wonderful corporate positions, high up in companies, others who have started their own businesses, but they're looking for meaning and purpose. And she said, I feel like we're going through an identity crisis. And I remember when I was 12, sitting in home economics, learning about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And at the top of the pinnacle there is self-actualization. And the teacher said, yeah, some people get there, but most people don't before they die. And I thought, hell no, I'm getting there as soon as possible. And I immersed myself in self-help books. And it really, I think, helped me propel myself forward and working through or getting out of my own way and my own challenges and building self-confidence. Um, so if you're feeling like you're in murky waters at the moment, feeling a bit confused, that's normal and it's okay. It's about how we perceive that stage and what we envision for ourselves. And more importantly, what are we going to act on? So these are the stages that I'm referring to. A London Business School did a study of those who transitioned successfully, and there are three stages that they've identified. The ending, which is leaving behind what you've known for 5 years, 10 years. Um, and I think for a lot of us as yachties, having a good salary, being able to travel the world, all of those things make that transition even more difficult than the average person. The messy middle, this is you thinking, oh my goodness, what's next for me? Where do I go to now? And hopefully, Ebony and I can help you with that. Then you've got the new beginning, And this is when you feel a zest for life again. You've got clarity. You don't feel that overwhelm, that burden. You have a sense of purpose. And that is a stage that I can tell you I've been in for years, and I'm sure Ebony feels the same way. And this is why we want to help you guys.
Mhm.
Um, Melissa, any questions so far? Where would you say you are on the scale?
I'm definitely in the messy middle right now.
Messy middle. And what does
Yeah.
that look like for you?
What it's like for me?
Sorry?
Well, sorry, what was the question?
What
I
does it
missed it.
look like? What does it look like, the messy middle? If you think of maybe psychologically, emotionally, what are you doing right now? Yeah, what does that world look like to you?
Just kind of like floating, still applying for some yachting jobs, but not. And then also just applying for any land-based position, but not having the experience to apply for those ones. And also the ones that I would have experience for, the salary is just
Mm.
very low.
Mm.
I
What
can.
do you, yeah, go, Ebony.
No, sorry, I was going to say you are reminding me so much of my messy middle right then. Even so much that I had the golden handcuffs. I went back to the industry about 4 times. I couldn't believe it until I thought maybe twice, but 4 times until I truly exited. And when I came back, I had the plan to become a yoga instructor, and I taught at about 12 different studios when I first came back home, and I was so passionate about it. And for me, it was that paycheck. I just couldn't believe the salary comparison from the yachts. And by any means, anyone listening to this call today, I'm not at all putting out there that you cannot create success from being a yoga instructor. You most definitely can. You know, I was thinking of going on to retreats and things like this, but then I had my baby boy and I realized I was giving so much to him. And so for me, I needed to go out and do the yoga classes, you know, I needed to go out and do the meditation to get back in touch with myself. And so that's where I've had yoga as a passion for over 15 years at that time. But so that's where things can change along the way. And I'm sure Karine's going to talk into that further. Like it's just that, as you said, I can attest to that at the start, Karine. You said trying different things. You know, I started off as a yoga teacher, and then from there, that wasn't working for me for that time. And it was definitely around cash flow, as you mentioned, Mel. And so then I had to seek out something else. And I came back into the messy middle of like, what am I doing now? And had to, find something else that I went into business, started my own business from that evolution. Again, I've been in a few different businesses, and from that business, I'm not in the same business that I was in, but that led me to where I am now. And it's all around creating a business that has more so created the lifestyle for me. So I feel like that is so true into being that messy middle of just recognizing when you come back to land that the income bracket just really is quite shocking. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that, and I'm sure Karine's had had experiences like this as well.
Mm. I'm just curious to know though, like as yachties, you're working at least 40, if guests are on 14, 16 hours a day. And when you break that down, 7 days a week, what do you think your hourly rate is? Have you worked that out?
Yeah, I actually did it with a friend the other day when she was like, you could just bartend and you'll get like, you wouldn't get as much money, but your hour, like your hours, you're getting paid more for. Because she was saying like in yachting, you're only getting like $9 an hour or something
Oh
crazy.
my gosh, no.
It was something like it might have been more. We just did it though. But when she's Thai and she found out how much she could get paid bartending in Australia, she's like, you get paid more.
And it's the quality of life as well,
Yeah,
that's so
And yeah.
important.
And the outgoings, I think on yachting you have no outgoings if you live aboard, if it's a live aboard, of course.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
where, I think a lot of yachties can get shocked when they actually leave and they realize all of a sudden they've got to pay rent and they've got to pay fuel and they've got to pay for food. So it's all those outgoings that we just don't have to have when you're on board the yachts.
Mm. And that's the thing, when I left my goal was not to eat into my savings, but my goodness, living in Sydney, it's really difficult. So I was earning, one of my values is efficiency. If you get to know me very well, I think Ebony's had a taste of it. But um, when I was babysit being a nanny, I was studying at the same time. So when the kids were sleeping, I was getting my hours of work in. It allowed me more flexibility, which I was craving. And I was getting $300 a day and working 3 days a week. And that's all I needed. And I was going to lectures like on the Friday or doing whatever. And that really served me. So I want you to certainly be mindful of not drawing comparisons and not worrying what other people think of you. A weird fable that has created, I don't think it's weird, I think it's wonderful, but it has weirdly impacted me in my life for, I think, since high school, was the tortoise and the hare. And I was probably an average student, and I wanted to be a prefect and leave school with a distinction. And I did. But what I did was stayed in my own lane instead of looking left and right and who was next to me. And I've done that in business and it's worked. I've done it in various elements in my life, and it's certainly been productive because I think you can just get sucked into a vortex if you start drawing those comparisons and telling yourself, well, I should be here or I should be doing this. It stops you from taking action and moving forward. Okay, another exercise. 3 columns on your piece of paper. First column, where I am. So, where are you currently in your stage of life? What do you know about you in terms of your skills, values, and traits? Or what do other people say about you that confirm what your strengths are? Where I want to be. So, what would a ordinary day look like for you when you have transitioned out of the industry? If you can think of it, you might not. It's okay. What I already know. So, one thing you're certain about, even if everything else is a bit foggy. And then just let me know when you're done. So, column one, where I am, which zone I'm in right now, what is true about my situation today, your skills, savings, relationship. Column two, this is not a job title, a life description. Where do I wake up? What does a ordinary Tuesday look like? What do I want more of and less of than I have on board? And then number three, one thing I'm certain about. Ebony, do you want to start? Did you do it?
Sure, I sort of half did it because I wasn't sure whether it was something that you wanted me to do or not. But so where am I? Okay, so the word building came for me because I'm currently in that building mode of my visions. Um, so, but also in that achievement at the same time, I guess I'm going to that next level in my business. So, a big goal of mine was to find fulfilling work where I could travel overseas and also work around my boys at school. And just asking that now, it's made me realize that we've created that for ourselves, you know. Last year we went to the Philippines for 7 months, and that was because I was working online. So that enabled us to create that lifestyle. And that was something before that I was reaching for. So where I am now, today is skills, savings, energy. I feel like my relationships are great. I'm family wise. I think the savings side of things, that's where I'm heading to that next level within my business so that we can create more freedom from that. We have plans to go next winter overseas again. So, you know, we're at that building stage of creating that life for ourselves. We're there, but we're also taking it to that next level. So that's what's come up for me around where I am. Where I want to be, that sort of answered that question as well. So just creating that next level of freedom for our family, because we've got a little 5-year-old boy. My partner still works away, 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off on the super yachts. So for us, we plan to live in Roti Island or Indonesia next year or Fiji. We're just working that out. So our plan is to have stability here, and my boy goes at school, and then say one term in the winter we escape and we live overseas somewhere. So we're working out where that is. We're both very drawn to the South Pacific because we both worked on the super yachts together. That's where we got together. And so yeah, really love that part of the world. So that's what we're building currently now. Where we are is in the creation phase of that and bringing that to life, which is really exciting. And what I already know, what did I put? Oh, from feedback from people is within my team that I'm a supportive leader. And I know that whenever I put my mind to something, I really related with that with you before, Karine. Whenever I put my mind to something, I always achieve it. So I remember walking the docks in on Antibes and seeing, you know, the super yacht, and I looked at it and I was like, I'm going to work on that yacht, you know, and that was the job that I ended up getting my first spa therapy role on board. And even thinking of first initially leaving the yachts, I'd love to invite everyone to go back to that stage. I know that everyone has come about the yachting industry in a different way, but for me, I was this little, you know, girl that grew up on the beach. No one around my circle of friends ever went overseas or did anything as crazy as that. But I had this vision to work on the super yachts and I was determined to do it. My girlfriends and I went and traveled Europe. I bought a one-way ticket. They all bought a return, and I was absolutely crapping myself to go and do something like that. But I was like, this is what I'm doing. And so I really believe that when I put my mind to something, I succeed. Some days it feels like it's taking longer than, you know, what I want it to. But that's okay. And I really, yeah, I feel like that's what I get a lot of feedback from the team that I'm in. And I truly believe that, you know, when we exit the yachts as well, that's something that's not talked about so much, is it can feel just as scary. My journey, it felt just as scary, that leap to jump off the yachts, as it did jumping into the yachts, you know, but there's so much support around jumping onto the yachts. That's why I really like, I know I've gone off in a bit of a tangent here, but I feel like it's all very relative with where we're at. Coming off the yachts, you know, if we could have this hub of supporting people to come off the yachts with as much confidence, then what an incredible place to be. And so, yeah, I really feel that transition piece of jumping off the yachts, it can be really scary and a vulnerable place to be. So, yeah, I feel like in that way, if we can create that support, then yeah, amazing. I'm going to stop so that we can hand over, but that just came streaming through me. I hope it's okay that I share.
Thanks, Ebony. That's beautiful. How are you going, Melissa?
Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. So where I am at the moment, it's like I'm at that in-between stage right now. If I do stay on the yachts or if I go land-based, I do have quite a bit of savings behind me at the moment. I've just purchased my first investment property that I'm going to be renting out. Hopefully it'll be finished building soon, and then I'll have a mortgage, so adulting there. And like the skills I have is like I have the high-end hospitality skills that come with yachting, and I have admin skills from running the interior. At the moment, my relationship and just enjoying. I was on a boat that's based here in Sydney, so reconnecting with my family, spending time with my nieces and nephews, and getting those relationships back up and everything like that.
That's a
Um,
huge part of it, isn't it? The family
yeah,
piece. You end up missing that so much. Events. Did you feel that, Mel? Missing a lot of family events or friend events?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Been away for so long, but yeah, so I have been on a boat that's based here in Sydney, and it has been a bit more like kind of land based, having a weekend, going home, and just left that boat now because they're up in Brisbane. But yeah, and as for the future, I'm not sure where I want to be. I just know
Mm.
that I like do enjoy being busy. I don't like not working or not having something to do. I just like to be on my feet and doing stuff, but not sure what that would look like in the future. And then, yeah, what I know is I do usually always just land on my feet and everything works out in the end how it's supposed to.
And Melissa, would you be more inclined to want to start your own business or work for someone else?
I would probably prefer to work for someone else,
Mm,
definitely. I don't think I have any great business ideas or want that whole responsibility of it.
fair.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so what is one thing you already know?
That everything will work out and I'll land on my feet.
Yeah. Lovely. It will. It certainly
Yeah.
will. Okay. Um, right. So this was an interesting study. You act your way into a new identity. You never think your way into one. So the premise there, so this was a London Business School that did the study, is that you need to experiment and you need to try different things. And simply visualizing something, it's just it's not going to necessarily, I believe in visualization and it's worked for me, but you've got to be an active agent in that process. So yeah, Ebony, you were dock walking, like you were putting your CV out there. You didn't just look at the yacht and then wake up the next day and then you got the call for the job. So that's really, really important. Um, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, what do I even experiment with? At the end of this slide deck, you can scan a QR code to get the clarity map. And in there are some steps which will help you in terms of defining what that looks like to you. And it will come with 5 emails so that you can be held accountable and it will remind you about the exercises that you need to do for that day. Okay, so peak moments, another activity. Think about 3 moments on board when you felt most capable and most yourself. What were you doing? For me, it was helping the crew around interpersonal challenges. So we had an awful chief stew, and I was piggy in the middle, where I was the channel of communication between the chief stew and the girls who are crying and saying, I can't work under her anymore. Please help. And the captain saying, Karine, what do I do in this situation? And that's where I thrived. That's where I found meaning and purpose on board. That's what lit me up. And obviously, I'm doing something very similar today from a leadership capacity in the business. But I just want you to think about yourself in a situation where you engaged in one of your natural so-called talents or your strengths, where you felt like you were contributing and making a difference. Then for number 2, write what you were actually doing. So list the verbs that you come up with in your description. So for me, it was helping, it was problem solving. And then I want you to highlight the verbs that are repeated. Let me know when you're done. Ebony, what were your verbs? And did
Um,
anything surprise you?
Okay, so yeah, I'll be short and quick this one because I don't want to take up Mel's time. I was all about bringing people together and really providing meaningful experiences for people on board, whether it be as a part of the crew or whether it be the guests. That's something that always came back to me. So I've got relationships, connections, support, fun, adventure. Yeah.
Which the next part of that exercise would be, can you think of roles
Hmm.
that would include those verbs? So for you, Ebony, you've got a community that
Hmm.
would do exactly that. Like all those verbs that you listed, I was like, yep. And that's why she's got a community, because that's one of her natural strengths and talents is creating experiences, bringing people together, having fun, creating something that's memorable.
Hmm.
So you're on the right path, Ebony.
Yeah, thank you. And that support piece, I think too, that's where I definitely feel passionate in regarding providing support for people that transition because for me it was a really challenging time. And so, yeah, that's why I guess I feel so passionate about this because if I can support people in that and be that person to provide this hub and these connections, then that just lights me up so much. And that integration of seeing people going after, as you would, Karine, going after and having a fulfilling role off the boats. Like, how incredible is that? Mm.
Definitely. Melissa, how did you go?
yeah, so I kind of yeah. So I got logistics of getting extra provisions in remote islands of Turks and Caicos was one instance where I had to like plan with the captain and we had to organize where to get the taxi and where to pick up and where to meet the tender later.
Mm.
That included like the problem solving and shopping and obviously running around and getting everything. And then another time would be we did an Oktoberfest themed dinner, which was really fun and like creating like the vision of we did I think it was the Lowenbrow Hall, so like making sure that vision came to pass, like organizing all the steins, we got the streamers and made it very personable to them and everything, and then also like just creating like cocktails of the nights and stuff and like planning that menu with my second stew, and we wrote out what we needed to make the syrups what nights and how far in advance we could do stuff, and having it so it was just like they ordered it and it was like bang, they got the cocktail and it was like very niche cocktail but we made it so it was easy.
Incredible.
Wow.
I'm already thinking of business,
Hmm.
what a company she can work for, Melissa. I've got one in Sydney. I will send me a message on Instagram because I've got to go to my Instagram. I don't know their name off by heart, so I can send you their profile. But they
Okay.
look like a really cool bunch. It's a startup, it's an app. Um, they have a lot of fun, but I would hire a chief stew any day. Like
Hmm.
Yeah.
the skill set that you come with is insane. Like a business owner would be losing out significantly. So it's also how you sell yourself in your CV is really, really important. But yeah, send me a message after and I'll send you the profile.
Okay.
Um,
I
right.
feel like your organizational skills are incredible. I mean, I know this is what a lot of crew have on board, and I'm thinking like events management, like that's what comes through for me. I don't know if you've ever experimented with that, but that could be something you never know. I think it's so good to be open because I never thought I was going to be end up a business owner when I left as well. I can relate to you saying that you don't want to go that route, but you never know. Imagine just case in point scenario, not saying this is what you're going to do, but you ended up working for a events management company where you were organizing these incredible events. And what I think we have as yachties is when you are in that role, because we've been taught to be so efficient and we really do have that eye for detail and we do everything so well, we can pick up in businesses what they lack. And that maybe imagine your scenario, you're working for an events management company and then you think, I can do this better. like from start to finish. And that's I'm just putting out a scenario. That could be you having your own events management company in a specific niche, whether that's around those themed events or do you know what I mean? I'm just trying
Yeah.
to get your brain to go there.
Does it resonate with you, Melissa?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so looping back to experimenting. Um, Obviously, I've highlighting this again in terms of your job title. Don't put yourself in a box and say, "Oh, I was a chief shoe. How can this role and my skill set be applicable on LAD?" You need to be creative in how you sell your strengths and link it back to your lived experience, the results that you produced, as you've described, Melissa, so that you can attract attention. Um, okay, dealing with uncertainty. So, when you leave your position on board, I'm not too sure what age were you when you first got into the industry, Melissa?
Me, I was 28.
28.
Yes.
Okay. What was your career before that?
So I haven't really ever had a career. I moved to London when I was 21 and I was doing waitressing and bartending there. And then after that, I moved to Canada and I was being a server in Canada. And then I joined yachting after that,
Okay. And then you've been in the industry now for how long?
about 7 years.
7 years. Okay. Okay. So 7 years is still a significant amount of time.
Mhm.
And in there, we can, as I said before, about enmeshment, like the responsibility, the lifestyle associated with yachting can start to be more etched into our fabric of our existence. So the adrenaline and the pace, perhaps, the structure, the routine, you love the organization, it makes us feel safe, the income, the lifestyle, your title. And then perhaps you've forged some beautiful bonds and relationships on board as well. So you're not only saying goodbye to a career, you're saying goodbye to a lot more. Right, we're coming to the end now. So Emily's going to touch on the support that is available to you. But before we do, I would love to know, Mel, like what are your takeaways from the session? And this particular slide is just making you aware that if you feel a bit flat or out of sorts, that perhaps something else is going on for you. It's maybe being in the messy middle and you're not too sure of what's next. You might sense or feel a bit of anxiety. So it's turning to the right professionals to seek that support and guidance. In terms of the concept of experimenting, I think having a wonderful support group like what Ebony has is probably something for you to consider. We do offer an exit strategy course, which you can read more about on thecrewcoach.com. In terms of that course, that was the first product I sold in my business. And the student went through the coaching and the course. And by the end of it, she said, I know what I want to do. I want to I want to do what you do. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's amazing. Go for it. Do it. Um, yeah. So again, think about experimenting. What does that look like to you? And what will your next steps be? Um, yeah. So just recapping, it can be one conversation, a paid trial of something, one course. Um, you with the rotational, if you aren't, I can't remember if you said you were on rotation. I think you are. But looking at, how you're using your time on rotation, how can you make it productive? And then for the clarity map, if you pull out your phone and take a picture of that, if my tech skills are adept, then it should link you to a form to complete, crossing fingers. Um, Okay, Melissa, over to you. What did you find helpful from this session today? What's one small thing that you're going to action?
Um, I found it all pretty helpful, making me think and everything. I'm probably going to look into, well, if I've got to message you on Instagram and that company, and also I'm going to look into some events management positions now as well.
Mm. Fantastic. I'm so excited for you. That's wonderful. Ebony, over to you.
Thank you so, so much, Karine. That has just like my cheeks are just, I'm so lit up, Mel, just hearing you from beginning of the conversation to now, that is absolutely incredible. I love that you have been able to leave here with some value. Karine, that was just amazing. I really appreciate your time here and all of your knowledge and wisdom that you've just imparted in this short time. Please make sure to reach out to Karine if you're at the Crew Coach, if you're wanting further support in this, and she has some incredible courses to offer you. The one thing that stands out for me too, Mel, that's coming up is you said that you have some money behind you, which I think is such a nice security blanket with where you're heading. This isn't the case for every yachty, and in knowing that it's really tricky to come at it from a playful angle. I know when you're first transitioning because there is such uncertainty around it. And I think this is something that potentially happens over time as we gain, I guess, comfortability in our new environment. It really does take time to adjust to coming on land. So if that's just something that I can impart on you, because looking back, I wish I had have come at it at a more playful angle. I'm sure anyone that's transitioned could come from this because again, I can tell you I've tried many different things and many different, I've even tried two, well, this is my second business from where I came from. I did have an initial business that was and it was very well suited to me. It was a high-end wellness offering, mobile wellness offering, where I was going to high-end luxury homes and offering yoga and spa therapy, which was my background on the yachts, and offering it at high-end spaces. It really did align so well, but the thing that it didn't give me is location freedom. So that was a big thing for me. So it just shows, you'll end up finding what your values are and what's important to you. So every summer I would be down here working my butt off, going to, all of these holiday homes, but I could never leave. So it was sort of like I'd created a job for myself and something very similar to the yachts where again I was stuck and I couldn't be going off with friends and family. And so I really needed to find that location freedom piece, which is why I now work online. So if I can, yeah, just impart that to you to come at it from a semi-playful place, because as you've just shared with us, you know that you achieve what you set out to achieve. Don't be so concrete that this has to be your thing. That's what I did as well. I was like, I have to make yoga work. This is my thing. But one thing led to another. So, maybe say if it is you go off and you start this looking into the events management, you have no idea what comes of that. But the fact of, I love how Karine shared, that's something I definitely got from this call, is having the vision, but taking the action. That's such a big key in the journey that I've had in my progression. Is it can't just be a vision. You need to take action on those visions. And when you do, it may not be the thing that you do forever, but just by starting that, say if it is this career or job that Karine's about to share with you, say if you get started in that and you go along, then maybe you meet someone and it strikes up a conversation and they're doing something that inspires a thought for you, or you meet them and it changes your whole trajectory. I just really feel being open to experiment and not being so concrete on you have to have it all figured out now is the biggest wisdom piece that I could probably pass on from my journey, because it seemed so serious and it seemed like, I really put myself in this vice, even though I had the money to back me and I had the plan of stepping off the yachts. I really felt like I needed to have it all figured out, and you really don't. So that's something I would love to pass over to you, Mel. Does that give you some value or understanding there with what I've just shared?
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't just verbal diarrheaing everywhere. Um, so yeah, again, I think that the Yacht Transition Hub WhatsApp group would be really supportive to you and anyone else that's listening. Please reach out to myself if you would like to be a part of it. It's really just a WhatsApp group chat. It's very relaxed, low key, and it's just getting yachties together that are, whether you're transitioning or you're thinking about it or wanting to plan or you're already on land, it's just a really open space, casual space where we can share ideas and support each other through. Because I really feel like that piece of being seen and heard when we first exit the yachts or are thinking of it, just to feel seen and heard is everything. I really feel like that if I had have had that community, it would have really helped me within the transition. So I really want to put out one last thing to the call here today. Next week, we actually have Charles on board, who is the yacht investor, and he is such an incredible person. I'm sure a lot of you know him from his Instagram page, but he's going to be joining us at 10 a.m. AEST, which is 5 p.m. PDT. And he'll be talking all things finance because this is a really big thing for myself. I only learnt about investing once I stepped off the yachts, but if I had have started investing and I came off the boats with a quite a big chunk of money, which I was really grateful that I put the focus on saving some of it. But if I had have learnt about investing whilst I was still on board the yachts or once I jumped off the yachts, I feel like this is such a key piece to provide just security for ourselves. So I'm so passionate about getting him on board so that we can, yeah, just have all of his wisdom. He actually shared a slide the other day where he, within 7 years, he, with his investing, came to, I think it was just over 500,000. So just from investing his yacht salary. So I think that's a really great piece here where we can all feel so much more supported in that as well. And yeah, just want to thank you so much again for your time, Karine. I've just loved all of our conversations. I really value your just your outlook and how you show up with such integrity and just share. So I just really want to thank you again. And Mel, thank you for being vulnerable with us and coming out and sharing your voice.
I just want to mention the QR code just takes you to logging in.
Does it?
I'll show you
Yeah.
what I wanted to show you that
That work?
QR code, is
No,
that right?
it says sign into. That's a issue that I was having this morning. But hold on, let me see if I can give it to you. Either when you send me a DM, I can give it to you there.
Yeah.
However, let me just quickly see. I've got it here. Should be it. Come on, see, and I'll put it in the chat.
Yes, please share. And I'll make sure that I share this with everyone as well. Please make sure to reach out if this is not showing up on the replay. Please reach out to myself or Karine and we'll get this link across to you.
Is that working, Mel?
Let me try.
Let me try now.
It says enter your first name and your email submit. Is that right?
It should be, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look at it back end to see if you guys were able to log in and access. I've got to leave it on the hour, but I'm just curious, Mel,
Yes,
do you
that
have
worked.
any questions for Ebony and I? I don't mind getting personal. I'm very transparent about our transition that you thought you think would be helpful to you.
No, I don't really have any questions.
Okay. Okay.
And even if after this call, in a day or two, a week or whatever, if anything comes up, please just reach out to us. And yeah, Mel, be really lovely to connect after the call as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bye, Mel. Enjoy the
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys.